Claude Design by Anthropic has been out for about a week or so. I looked online to learn a little bit about it, and I found some tutorials, but they were all for younger people, people wanting to learn to code, build me a web design, make me a thumbnail. Nothing on there for professionals with years of experience, want to be able to take that experience and turn it into a design, a presentation, a video, where that's not their key skills, but the domain or deep knowledge is. And so it removes that barrier. Perhaps it's for a presentation to a board where you're conceptualizing against something. The example I'm going to use in here is the merging of finance and administration. This is just a proposal to the board. It hasn't been discussed at executive level. I've just been asked by the board to present the pros and the cons, along with backup information, which I would have in a handout, but I want to produce a 6-slide briefing package to present at the board meeting. I don't want anyone to know that this is going on. Now back to Claude Design. Is you can look here and you can set up a design system. And so that's what we're going to do first. Now what I did first of all to set up a design system was I went to a company's website and I took a snapshot of their homepage and I took a snapshot of their, let's say, informational page. There I captured the fonts, the colors, the layout, and that's what I'm going to give to Claude Design to actually create a brand kit or a brand template for me. Now, what you could do, obviously, if you don't have that available to you within your company, just go to your company's website and take a snapshot of a few pages. So now we're setting up our design system. I'm going to call it Jim's Company, for want of a better name. You can see that there are some possibilities to link to GitHub if you use that. We will cover that in a much later lesson. It's not relevant now. If you've got code, you can actually link to that and Claude will read your code. You can use Figma files. You can also use fonts, logos, and other assets. And you just basically drag them in from your files folder or from one of your folders, drag in the assets, drag them right there, or you can click browse and you can go and look for them, and then you can bring those assets in. So you can see here I'm actually looking for my files from the website. I found them on that folder and I'm going to drag them in. Then what I also did, I happened to like this font, Roboto, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I just downloaded the folder or the file from Google, and you can see here I'm dropping them in, logos and fonts, and then I'm going to write any other notes that I need to for this particular piece of exercise. And you can see here I'm saying, please use a professional approach to building my assets that I want you to build. And I'm referring to a UX and a UI, which is the user interface and the user experience. I want it to be a good one. So that's what those two acronyms stand for. Once we've got that, we can go to continue to generation. So I click that here. It tells me it's going to take about 5 minutes to generate the system. I can leave the tab open and away we go. We'll speed the video up and come back when it's finished. Now what you can see here happening is that it's starting on the left-hand side. You can see what Claude is actually doing. So this is quite helpful if you are interested. You can watch the progress that it's going through as it builds your particular asset. While it's doing that, one of the next steps is to describe exactly what you want Claude to build. Now I want to make a point here. We're coming from experience, so we're not going to put something generic into that. What I'm going to do is I've went out and I've done some research from Deloitte's, McKinsey on mergers of finance and administration departments. What are the key metrics? What are the key gains? I put that into a comprehensive report. I'm going to give this to Claude on the web. This is just the browser here, and you can see I'm using the latest model Opus 4.7, and I will explain this a little bit more in our next week's video, where I run through in a lot more detail and describe all of the things you can do with Claude on the web. So the next thing I will do is I will add that as an asset, and I've also built a prompt of exactly what I want Claude to do. Is I want it to look at that report. I want it to build me a board report that composes of 6 slides to a high-level executive presentation. So you can see here is the automation and artificial intelligence impacts on both finance and admin. Here is an example of the report which has all of these references in it, which allows Claude to go out and search the web to pull in additional information should it feel that it needs to. Now, I'm happy to put the prompt in the description, or perhaps leave me a note in the comments if you would like this prompt. But basically you can see, please use the attached reference if you need it. I'm building a 6-slide board presentation. The case is for merging finance and administration. It's an AI era restructuring high-level proposal, and the context is a mid-size professional services term. So you can see I'm building in the context. This is quite a long prompt, but I'm also telling it what I expect in the output. Write a slide-by-slide copy. For each slide, give me a headline. So you can start to get the recipe here. And also this is the bottom end of the slide with a subtext saying this is a staged commitment. The board retains an explicit decision point before any irreversible action is taken. So again, this is a typical presentation and interaction that I would start to prepare for board reports that I have had to do in my career in various companies over the years. And then what Claude has done is it's gone away and it's come back, and it has given me a whole host of slides, and it's given some criteria for the board. Now, what I had to do in the beginning was it gave me a much wider scope, and I had to ask Claude to reduce the complexity of each slide, because my view is that you want as minimal information on that slide as possible to portray exactly the point that you're making. You don't want to dump a whole lot of information and statistics onto board level members. This is a high level briefing package. Having done that, Claude has now finished the design, and you can see it's picked up the shades of blue and the shades of green and given me a brand kit. Remember, I had also given it the texts or the fonts, and it's also given us a whole lot of other ancillary information. If you're a designer, I'm not, you can jump in and you can edit all of this before you start. It's an incredibly flexible system. But again, the way I'm showing you is I'm going to assume you're not interested in that. You're interested in getting the content out there that comes from your knowledge into a really professional, presentable form that you don't have to involve your assistant, because this is an extremely confidential matter. So what I've done here is I've taken the output from Claude on the web and I've pasted it in here. And here we need to describe exactly what we want Claude to do. I find that if I just ask it to build a presentation, while it can do that, it will build a presentation that is static. And what I want is an interactive presentation. So what I'm going to ask it to do is build a video first, and it will give it animation as each slide rolls through. And then you can later on, if you want, turn that into an animated PPTX or PowerPoint or Google Slides presentation. So that's what we're doing. We're going to, in the choices here, we click Other, and then you'll see here, I'm going to name I will name the project. You can see underneath the project name, it's got Jim's company design system, so it knows what to reference. And now down the bottom is where we will put in exactly what we want. Again, you can add additional information here, but I prefer to have all of that presented up front. And so here, as you can see, is the reduced version of the slides that I had Claude on the web produce. I'm going to Control A or select all of those. And then I'm going to come down to the bottom here, and you can see here it's got Jim's company design system as the reference point, and I'm going to tell it to please build me a video. Please build me a video using the exact, and again, I'm being specific here to Claude, I'm giving it exact instructions as to what I want the result to be. I don't want to leave that open to interpretation. And again, there's all sorts of other ancillary things you can do. Claude now will go away and build that, and you can see what it's doing. It's looking at the brand kit. You can see it's copying the colors and the type and the CSS, which is your layout files that it's already built from those PDF files from the website that I've given it. And it's going to go away and build the presentation. So here's what it's come back with. And I'm just giving a sample here of running through the presentation. The economics of back office work have changed. Our structure has not. Nice and punchy, and you can see the points below it were fairly simple. Again, here it's got a little bit more information. I don't mind that because you can see it's got consolidated, stays separate, and governance. So again, 3 things that a board would actually think of. And I'm giving my domain knowledge to Claude here to help it present that. Some high-level figures in terms of FTEs or full-time equivalents, what we can aspire to actually change our operating system. So this is a great presentation. I'm pretty happy with that. And this is a quick example of what you can build. Now, once you've run through once or twice, and I would suggest you do this in the beginning, the first time you run through it, it's going to take you 20 minutes. The next time it'll take you about 15 minutes because you'll have forgotten 1 or 2 things. By the third time you've used this tool, this is about 5 or 6 minutes work. Honestly, the majority of work is actually producing the content. And again, as I always say, this is one of the main points of this channel, the amplification of your skills, domain knowledge, and experience is what sets you apart. So that's where we that's where we spend the time. On tools like this, we take the output of that and we capitalize on what's available to us to build something that's really neat. You can do all sorts of other things here. You can tweak it. You can actually go in and edit live on the video any of the text that you see on the screen, and you can save it and it's automatically done. You can export this as a PPTX file. You can see the export button. You can add a comment so that it reminds you it's only visible to you. There's a whole host of things you can do. You can even draw on the diagram. So if you want to hand draw something, it's a really, really flexible system. And again, if you have this need, I encourage you to spend the time, take this base tutorial here and experiment yourself. If you really, really want a deep dive into this, then I'm happy to do it. But I think that you've got a great overview. Thanks for watching. I'm Jim Kennedy. We'll see you next week.